Welcome to the first lesson of Python programming course, and in this lesson we're going to learn how to write programs with Python. So writing programs needs a editor. That is, like if you go to Notepad, you will see we can write any text in here. Like this, we need an IDE or integrated development environment to write Python programming codes. So let's see it in action to understand it better. So head to your browser and type in Python. After typing in Python, you will see this python.org. You can visit python.org or just type in Python. You will find the link in the resources. Then you can see here some example Python codes. So like in there, we can download the Python interpreter. That is a program. Then when you write programs, it will interpret on them and give you the output. So it may be a bit hard for you to understand it now. So let's leave it for now. We will understand it when we get into the grooves more. So first of all, you need to download the Python interpreter. For now, you need to understand that Python interpreter is essential for executing your codes. So let's say I can show you an example here. You can see a launch interactive shell button. You can press that and then it will open an online IDE for you. So you can see Python anywhere and you can see loading environment. You can see here Python 3.8, that is the version we are running in this IDE or this console. So let's say we want to write a simple program like print what is 3 multiplied by 4, and if you press enter you can see it is 12. Likewise, we need an IDE in our system, so you can download this Python interpreter from download button here, Python 3.9. this is the latest release, so you can head to downloads and then you can download it from here, that is python.org/downloads. You can directly head to here and download it, 3.9 version at this date of recording this video. Next, we need an IDE. Like I showed you, we need Notepad to write any text. Likewise, we need an IDE to write the Python programs. So let's close this for now, and we will, for Python, the most popular and the easiest way to get the IDE is the PyCharm IDE. So you can just type in PyCharm and then you have jetbrains.com. You can just click on this button and then you can see PyCharm, the Python IDE for professional developers. So you can see we have a professional version and a community version. That is, the community version is for free. You don't need to pay for anything and you can just download it and start on the fly. But as I explained you that we need to download the Python interpreter and this IDE and then we can code. But what if I tell you you don't have to do all this and just start programming right away? Because you're a beginner, you need to understand what is an interpreter, what is the IDE. That may be a bit hard for you for now. That's why, to keep things more and more easy as you're a beginner, we will use an online IDE. So as I explained you before, we will use an online IDE. IDE is the place where we write code. So we will do that on the online, so we don't need to install the Python interpreter or the PyCharm IDE. So the online IDE we're going to use is called REPL-it. So you can just type in REPL and .it. You can head over there and then you can see we have start coding button here. You can just start coding and you need to log in to get the essential feature. So I'm going to log in with my account. You can log in with your Google account or you can even create a new account using your username. You can pass in anything here and then you can just pass your email. So I'm coming back after logging to my Google account. So I have logged in with my Google account and you can see we are prompted to this page and you can see we have a create REPL, that is a create IDE, or you can say Python file in which we will execute our program. So you can see we need a Python file. So let's click on Python and you can name your REPL, that is you can name the file you want. So let's leave them as default for now and you can just hit and create REPL here. And after a few seconds you will see a IDE pops up like this. So things are a bit spacious here, so let's zoom in a bit and now you can see this is the IDE where we can do code. This is called REPL-it. So as you can see, we don't need the Python interpreter or the IDE in our system. We can just come to this REPL.it, create our Python REPL and code in here. So as a beginner, we don't need to go through all this and then code. You need to understand what is coding first of all, and then start with these things. So let's close these tabs, and in here you may not be familiar with these things, so let's understand what is the UI or the user interface here. So up in the head file, you can see we have my name here, and this is the Python file or the REPL we created. And then you can see if you click that, you have your more options. So let's leave that for now. And in the left side, you have files, and we are in the main.py file. So for your knowledge, you can see if we open a notepad, you can see this file will be stored as .text. The notepad file will be saved as a text file. So let's save this file for now. Let's say we need to write Python is a programming language, and then let's click file. You can see save. Let's save it to desktop, and you can see we have a extension that is called text. Likewise, Python files have py extension. So let's save our text file for now. So likewise, we need the .py extension to tell that this is a Python file or specify this as a Python file. So this is the file section, and then you have the version control, then we have packages, then we have debugger, we have database, and we have settings. So all this may seem a bit hard for you to understand now. We'll get to them later as we move on, and we will use them also. So let's go to the settings, basic settings. You can see we have the layout setting. First of all, that is side by side. So it's up to you. I like side by side because we have more space in here and more space in here. You may also go to stacked like this, but it's my choice. You have your choice. We have theme. You can choose light like this or dark. I'm going with dark. And we have font size. So you can select normal, large, or huge. So normal is fine. And then we have indent type. So let's leave that spaces to now. We will get to the letter, and then we have indent size. That's also for letter. We have keybinds. You can leave it for now. We have wrapping, code intelligence. So except all these, you need to see what is this code intelligence. So if you hover over this eye icon, that is info, you can see, let's extend this tab. So now if you hover over this info icon, you can see code intelligence gives you autocomplete, helpful info, and hints as you type. See more. You can, if you want, you can see more here. Or for your knowledge, code intelligence will help you to write your codes. We will see it in action when we write code. So let's leave this tab now, and let's move into this window, that is the main.py window, or the place where we will write our code. As you can see, if I write something miscellaneous, you can see we get a red underline down there. So the code intelligence is telling that this is not the Python code. So let's remove that for now, and then let's come to the third window, that is the console or the shell. So let's leave the shell for now. The console is a place where you can input or output your values from here. So for example, you just need to know, let's print the thing we printed there, 3 multiplied by 4, and if I press Control plus enter, you can see here you can also run the code using this button. We get 12 here. So this is a console where you can print something here, that is similarly a place where you can show your values or see what your program is doing. So back to our programming window, let's start programming. As you saw, we printed 3 multiplied by 4 in here, that is 12. We can also do something like, let's say we want to print Python in here. So to do that, we need to use code, obviously. So you don't know what is programming. We know programming is simply some basic instructions to tell the computer to perform specific tasks. That's explained in the program. So for example, let's get back to our notepad. That is the text. So in here we have Python is a programming language. So what do we want is print Python on the terminal, and the terminal is this window here, you can see. So we want that. So we have written that in English language that can be understood by any human, and you can also understand that print Python on the terminal. But if we pass the same to here, you can see we get the red underline that this is not a Python code. So how can we tell our machine or this program to run this code or write Python on the terminal? To do that, we need to specify a syntax. So what is syntax now? So let's get back to our notepad again, and you can see we have this sentence print Python on the terminal. So how do you understand it is telling that print Python on the terminal? As you can see, we have print, that is definitely a action, and then we have Python, you can say that is as the subject, and then on the terminal can be said as the object. So here you can see we have divided our sentence into a action that can be called a verb. Then we have our Python, that is our subject, and then we have on the terminal, that is object. So every English sentence consists of a verb. It may or may not contain the subject and the object especially. So likewise, a syntax is a specific form in which you explain the code. So let's say if we have written all this like on terminal Python print. So it's likely to be understood by human that someone is trying to tell that print Python on the terminal, but it's not legit. It's not the right way to write that. So we need always the Python subject followed by the verb if there is, and on the terminal, that is the subject. So likewise, we need to define a similar syntactical form of the program to tell the program or the machine or our computer to perform specific tasks. So let's change this sentence into the Python program. So we want to print Python in here. For that, we need to use a function. A function can be said to be as a verb or an action. To perform that print action, we will use simply the print function. So you can see when we type the print function, we also added these parentheses, and you can see we are getting some extra knowledge about the print function here by our code intelligence. So you can use this code intelligence to know about anything that you write here. So let's say we have written print and followed it by some parentheses. So why do we did that? Well, we want to perform a function or a action like we do in our notepad. Let's get back to our notepad. We have our action, that is print. Okay, so a function can combine an action and an object together. So we want to print Python, that is the subject, on the terminal. So it is a English, you can say English has syntax, that is a form or grammatical form. You can prefer that as syntax. Then we have our Python syntax, that is Python grammar, you can say it for now. And then we have print function, that is the verb in here. So you may get mangled up with all this for now. So let's take it easier more. So let's write what we want, that is print Python on the terminal. This is written in a legitimate grammatical form. Likewise, we need to print Python on the terminal, and we need to tell that computer or our system by Python programming language, and we are doing that using our verb, that is the print. Here the print is print function, and inside the function, let's move on to the next step, that is we want to print this Python on the terminal. So we will pass Python in here. So you may see that I passed Python inside of these quotes, and you can see the color of Python also changes as we pass inside of the quotes. So for now, let's run this program. To run a program, you can either hit Ctrl plus Enter or press the Run button up here. So it's more convenient to press it through your keyboard. If you want, you can always just come in here and press this button, or you can also hit Ctrl plus Enter. Either way, we get our output, that is Python, printed on the terminal. So how do we do that? Well, I already explained you. We have this text, that is this English syntax or grammatical form, that is legitimate. We have the action, subject, object. In here we have our Python syntactical code. Python is a programming language. It is not similar to English, but it is a bit similar to English. As I told you, we have verb that explains some action. We have here print that is called function in Python, and the syntax is Python. The print function comes first, and in those we have the parentheses. We passed Python, that is our subject in here, so we want Python to be printed on the terminal. But you can say we did not specify it on the terminal, the object. Well, the object is the terminal, so we already have our terminal. We don't have to specify that. So I think you get the gist of programming, what it is, how do we write syntax, what is programming language in a one go. If you don't understand, there's no need to worry. We will cover all these things as we go step by step. So for now, you need to understand how to write programs. This is your not first program, or you may think of this your first program. In the next lesson, we'll write another program and try to understand Python programming language more. This lesson was totally focused on writing IDE or getting started off the ground as you are a complete beginner. So let's meet in the next lesson and discover more. See you then.